Hello everyone, and welcome to Basic Utility Episode 3, where today we're going to be looking at a map made by King Curtis named Pokta. D.E. Pokta, to be precise. Now, D.E. Pokta is a map that has a very interesting layout. You can kind of tell by its layout. You can kind of see it's very interesting from a layout perspective. King Curtis wanted to make sure that this map played very interestingly. It was somewhat faithful to certain aspects of Aztec. As you can see, there's aspects such as the bridge, which have maintained a very similar resemblance you can kind of see to various parts of the Aztec map. I personally really like this map. I think it's really fun, and I also think that it is a very good example of what you should do, and a bit of a few examples of what you should not do when it comes to designing utility for your map. As you can see, there's a lot of fauna and brushes at the very edge of these consistently high walls. There's quite a few places to get stuck into, but I do think it makes a few mistakes when it comes to this aspect, mainly being the amount of lamps that you can make in this a main area and the amount of lineups that you can actually land from that position. I think that it's not very memorable, a lot of the lineups that I make for this a main area, but there's still some lineups that you can find there. So we're going to start out with some very basic things. I think on this episode I'm going to explain a little bit more about what makes certain lineups good and usable versus not. So let's talk about the B site first. I found that B site is an excellent example of what you should be doing when designing lineups for your area. A lot of memorable textures with little fauna bits sticking out all over the place. Very easy for making lineups, a lot of areas to line up at, quite a few places to get stuck into. Such as these barrels and stuff. However, I did kind of struggle trying to find lineups for specific areas of this map, as with most things. I had to go through a couple sessions just to find out certain lineups, but I think that I did manage to find a standard default that I think you can use into a lot of your games, if you do end up playing this map, which I highly recommend. First thing that we need to figure out how to smoke off. Number one would probably be this little area right here, this little gap, primarily because quite a few of the angles kind of play around this area. You can kind of safely peek into this area while not exposing yourself to this alternate path route. You can play a very, very scary angle right here. Which, another thing, you can actually see this box over here, so if you are going to do some lineups here, which sometimes you are, there are some lineups that are in this position, but that can be safely done from other areas that do use that, so be warned of this pretty sneaky angle that you can pick from here. You can play from back here, you can even play from down here, so we kind of want to smoke this, or maybe even this area off. So let's go through some of those smokes. First smoke up is right here, getting stuck into this corner. Actually, wait, I'm lying. Please excuse me. The first thing you want to do is you want to get stuck into this corner right here. This little barbed fence you can get yourself stuck into if you walk in this direction. You're going to kind of aim at the very corner of this thing and aim a little bit to the left just to ensure that the smoke hits the bounce off the wall. And it's going to bounce off and it's going to land right there. It's very nice. It covers off this little cubby area so you can kind of peek over into here. And the ideal goal is that once you land that smoke, you kind of peek this over here, peek to make sure no CTs are going in that area, peek over here, move along forward, clear out this cubby, peek onto the upper, and then clear out all the other positions on site, maybe clearing there. Now, the second thing we want to smoke off is this upper position. We don't really want to peek into this potential double angle up here. So, how do we fix that? Well, there's quite a few places that you can smoke this off from. One of them being from here, if I remember correctly. But before we do that, I want to show another way to throw that smoke that I just threw, which is to stick yourself here, aim at the very top of this. You see this little line texture here, wait till it meets the top, and standard throw. That will also bounce off and land in the center here. And it also covers the exact same amount of space. It might be a little bit off over here, but it does the exact same thing, which can free up the other player to throw the upper smoke. So you get yourself stuck into this corner here, and you see this little angled thing here. You're going to aim at the center of that and a little bit up, if I remember correctly. And you do a jump throw. And that's going to bounce off there and smoke off that upper. What this frees you up to do is that when you're playing and you're pushing past here, you can now clear that and you don't have to clear this upper area anymore. Maybe you can clear it just in case somebody pushes through the smoke, but now it's gives you a bit more free room to clear all the way over here. Yeah, that kind of frees you up for the second part of this take. The second thing you're going to want to do is to smoke off here, obviously. This one is a bit easier to do, but it kind of does expose you from that upper area over there, which I apologize for. You might want to clear that off first, maybe with an op or something, just to make sure. But the first thing you're going to do is you're going to get stuck in this corner, obviously. You're going to aim at the very top of this leaf, kind of just do a running throw. It's very lenient with that. You can kind of land right there. Now be warned, because you can kind of still peek over the smoke with this lineup, but with this smoke being landed right here, I don't think that will be a problem. Maybe for people doing takes, so they can get picked up coming here. But shouldn't be too big of a problem, and it covers up nice and cleanly. Maybe you can aim a little higher, just so it lands higher up on the steps. There are other lineups for other areas of the site. For instance, one good lineup is if you've pushed up into here and you want to smoke up this upper position for your teammate. You're going to want to clear this corner first, obviously. But you're going to get into this corner of the door. You're going to aim at this line of the texture until it meets this corner. So right around there, it's a jump throw. That is going to land at the upper position. That is a bit better than the last one I showed you because it's much more forward. So that makes it so that trying to push through the smoke to try to get a funny peek just simply isn't possible. There is another lineup that you can throw for this upper position that's a bit more useful for fakes. You kind of get yourself stuck right into this corner. You're going to aim kind of a little lower from the top of this dome, center it, do a jump throw, and that is going to bounce off there, going to land there. And you can kind of use this for fakes. You know, people are going to see that smoke being thrown. People are like, oh, we might rotate. And then, from that position, you get a lot of control here. You can either actually make use of it, push up maybe into there. It might be a little less useful. Or you can kind of push up to this A position, clear under bridge, do all that kind of stuff, and generally do anything around that. Okay, the next set of smokes that I kind of want to show you are pertaining to more mid areas. For instance, this bridge position is a pretty important position to hold. Bridge is very powerful because you can get a lot of pretty strong angles up down to this position here. You can kind of peek out to here even. You can even kind of swing out here on a main position. It's going to make it a bit hard for T's to push into A if they have mid control. And also on top of that, if a T goes in, clears the guy playing here, it's a really quick and really fast path into the A site. It's a really quick path into the A site, actually. It's probably the quickest path into the A site. Or, if they don't want to do that, they can also go, and now they have CT, now they can gain CT control. They can go up here and even do a B site take, clearing this upper position. They get a lot of options from bridge. It's pretty important to hold bridge, and they give you a lot of good angles to play bridge. So, what can you do to stop any bridge aggression? Well, let's go over some of the bridge smokes. So what you're going to do is you're going to take this triangulation of leaves right here, see where it meets, aim slightly to the left, and standing throw it. That is going to land way deeper than the last smoke was. It's going to bounce off, land right there. It's going to be a nice deep smoke, discouraging any CT control from this area. As a CT, you no longer have control of any mid or any mid aggressions. Sure, you could do is you could quickly rotate to the A site from this position, but you're more likely than not are going to want to stay in this position to try to hold off any aggressive T pushes. Once that smoke's there, though, you can pretty freely push out to take more of an aggressive bridge control. Peek this all you want. You can also drop down to help support your teammates. Take control of this entire area fairly safely without having to worry about any of these quite crazy angles you could deal with when you're pushing up through here. Alternatively, if you want to, you could probably throw it from below here, but that's a slightly less reliable, and because, like, yeah, you're gonna have to peek in if you want to do anything about it. Or you could just throw it from down here, which is not gonna go as well for you, I don't think. Yeah, even then that leaves a gap. So I think the lineup is a bit easier to work with. Plus, even if you throw it, you're still throwing it relatively far back from anything that's happening. So you could throw it and then quickly rotate to your other area. People are going to see that drop, and then you could quickly just peek out on this side. Alright. Next thing, as a T, you want to take a main. And one of the angles you're going to have to clear is this upper position. This upper position does not have a lot of ways. It's a very awkward position to smoke off because it's very cluttered. A lot of the main positions just don't allow good lineups into this position, and so one of the lineups that I found is quite difficult to memorize, I would say. You're going to get yourself stuck into this corner here. Number one, it's kind of dangerous to hold here, especially if any CT tries to push out into this. You're most definitely going to get caught with your grenade out. Next thing you want to do is you kind of take this line and use as a guideline to find the correct stone, in which case this stone right here. You're going to aim to where the corner of it would be, because you can kind of see it's kind of degraded, but you're going to aim where the corner would be, and do a jump throw. What that smoke's going to do is it's going to bounce off right there perfectly and smoke off this upper position. This upper guy who's going to play here can't do anything now. He's going to have to fall back and play an on-site position. Now that smoke is kind of far back to be thrown, so you're going to have to want to make sure that your T-buddies are already pushed up into here and about to do a take. You know, maybe clear off this position, you throw the smoke, and then you kind of burst on into sight with the rest of utility. There aren't many smokes for A site that I threw thus far. I think that A main is kind of boring when it comes to detail. A lot of the lineups are kind of stone on tile. Give me a second. Which is kind of boring to throw, if you ask me. That's one of my only few problems with this site. I do think that there's a lot of interesting smokes you can throw, but as I know right now, not much. I think the site's angles by itself are interesting enough as it is, though.
Clear.
Now, for CTs, you want to take, you want to do some cool things on A site? Let me show you one way. See this rock here and straight up at the TT spawn? Get yourself kind of stuck here. You might slide up a little bit. Now, take this little line of the texture. See where it meets this little wood panel? You're going to aim slightly to the left of it. Just a little slightly, and do a jump throw. What that's going to do is it's going to do the funny. And now, you got yourself a 15-second one-way for any unfortunate soul who tries to peek out over into here. Now, it might slightly vary a little bit. You can make it go slightly farther down, depending on how far away you land it. For instance, you gotta just get a bit of here. If I think it depends on how far away from it you aim it. For instance, will depend on how effective it is. Like if you throw it a bit closer, you're gonna find that it's now a much more effective one way. That you can't just simply crouch peek under it. It's gonna be you might be able to pre-fire it. But the closer you get to the line without actually touching the line, the more effective your one way is going to be for that corner player over there. Yeah, just right there. It's a pretty fun lineup to throw. Yep. It has a lot of variables to it though, so it's not going to always be consistent. Sometimes you could just peek here and see the guy, but sometimes you just can't. So keep that in mind when throwing it. It's a pretty nice smoke though. I like it. It's pretty funny. Another lineup as a CT that you can throw is also relatively simple. I believe it's this corner, right? Yeah, it's this corner. You get yourself stuck into this corner, and you can kind of see where this model kind of has this line kind of bends right there. You're gonna aim at the bend. Yeah, you stand and throw it. This smoke is going to bounce off right there, and that's going to block off this pathway. What this allows you to do is if you know that, for instance, your T players like to go down into here and then kind of push into this point, that's going to free up your guys who are going to go aggressive into this point and not have to clear this 50-50. They just go in and they just clear things like that instead of having to worry about, T's going underneath all wacky like, despite the fact that they have pretty good time. That, let's be honest, the timings don't really support this action. The Codex Extatis does not support this action. Now let's say you're a CT and you want to throw a smoke that will block off this main entrance right here. Well, it's quite not that difficult of a throw. You kind of just get yourself into this corner over here, and all nice and snug. and then you're going to look for this dark patch. So see this dark patch right here? Yeah, you're going to find that dark patch, and you're going to follow it all the way up to the top of this ridge. And then you're going to do a jump throw. And that smoke is going to land relatively deep. You weren't supposed to do that. Why did you bounce? Why did you bounce? Okay, you're making me look back. Follow this dark patch. Go up to the top. Jump throw. There we go. That smoke is going to land pretty convincingly here. This A main area is doesn't have a lot of cover, nor does this middle area does. So when you land that smoke there, you can kind of pretty easily go up and kind of clear this area out. This kind of thing though. So you throw that smoke there and you push out and you watch for any bridge pushes, things like that, any lower pushes, kind of try to hold this area. Maybe the smoke drops push into this A main area if you want to. But generally you're not. Yeah, so it's mainly a delay tool that you can hold some cheeky angles from. Speaking of cheeky angles, there's quite a few positions on this map that you can kind of hold weird angles from if you have some interesting movement capabilities. Like here, you can kind of hold a really whack angle if you wanted to. That shoots. Yeah, if you're trying to swing this wide, you're gonna get shot in the face by the wackest angle. Also, these barrel positions, I don't know why, but I think, yeah, you can kind of climb up to. There's a very tiny pixel that you can get up and walk on. So, quite a few places on the map. Like, for instance, over here, let's say you're holding this position, you're expecting a push, you can kind of just get up here like this, hold this kind of weird off angle, come at a different height than your opponents are expecting you to. It's a nice little trick, not going to grant you too many kills, but occasionally you can catch somebody off guard. I think there's couple other positions like that with some pretty wacky angles you can do. Oh, right here. You can actually do the same over here. Kind of do a thing like this. Say a smoke lands here. You can kind of peek over it and get engagements. You can even go all the way around to the other side. You are good enough. Yep, like this. It's kind of cool. It's a quirk of the map, I guess. You can kind of do a couple of these whack things occasionally. You can also get up on top of here if you want to. Let me think of other things that you can do in this map. I know that there are more lineups. I know I made more lineups. I just have to look at them and remember what they're for. Alright. I just looked at a lineup. Let's see what this does, because some of these I don't actually remember. Walk up to this, get stuck in here. Okay, it's kind of finicky, and I don't know why. Walk up to this and get stuck in here. You're gonna aim slightly up, like around here. Aim like shown, as the name key says. I forget where this lands. Oh, look at that. It's a fake. Yeah. Okay. So. Much like this upper smoke, you can throw like this, not like that. You can throw a smoke from over here that acts as a fake smoke, and because that lands in the upper position, some CG might go, oh yeah, they smoked this off, rotate, they might go, they can't do anything, can't peek anything. This guy has no information. Maybe they're playing backwards. Who knows? Yeah, that's most of the essential smokes that you'll need to know on this map, though. A lot of the smokes that you want to throw, you can kind of throw. A lot of smokes you want to throw at CG, you kind of throw on a whim. Like you're like, oh, I want to smoke off bridge. There, and now I get this nice angle, and I can peek this safely. Same with the A main smoke, and the B smokes. You can kind of just. Hi, Yokari. You don't really need lineups for this because a lot of times you have timings in these areas, so you don't really need anything more than that. I generally think that T side is one of the few areas that you want to have the most smokes for. The only thing that you really need smokes for CT is like one ways and stuff. That's a lie, of course. You need a lot of smokes and utility for other things, but it's, you know, generally kind of free. I'm gonna talk about flashes now, okay? So, you know, you want to throw a flashbang. Alright, get up here, do that. Pop. Pop flash. Aim around here. Pop flash. I think, yeah, that's a poppers. I think you might have to aim a little deeper, though. Yeah, I think I remember you got to the slope and then you aim up here. And that was a pop flash. Yep, that was a pop flash. Yeah, you know, pop flashes in this map are kinda easy to work with. You know, you wanna pop flash in the same main, back up, aim right there, buster, jump throw, pops over convincingly. A lot of times it's in front of your guys, so you're gonna get a flash. It's pretty cool like. Yeah, it's in the middle of the night right now. Well, it's not the middle of the night, it's 11 p.m. My brothers are trying to sleep, we just had a long day. So I might wrap this video up here. The next map I might work on is D Heights. That map has not gotten many big changes in a long while, and I think the map's layout is starting to look pretty solid. I might also do D Creek by Fizzy. He was one of the guys who worked on D Doth. I didn't mention him in the video because I didn't actually know he worked on Doth. He's also a fellow YouTuber. I think he's in my channel page, right? Yeah, Fizzy Physics. Pretty cool dude. He makes YouTube videos. He's working on a huge project right now. Well, not huge. He's making on a project right now. He doesn't want people to get hyped about it, but you know, I'm excited for my buddy. Oh, that's an interesting off angle. He can do funny.
Check in.
Yeah, you should definitely check him out. He's got like 600 subs. He's a cool dude, and he makes cool maps. Yeah, so the next basic utility video is either going to be D Creek or D Heights. Probably D Heights, because Creek is still in its infancy stages, while Heights has been around a long time, and the mapper has kind of, you know, focused on other things a little bit. That mapper being Heather or Wyatt. Either one, I'm going to call him Heather because it's funny. It's funny. He's a very, very man. I'm so tired I can't even laugh. Okay. Yeah. No, my next video is going to be about practicing Ancient and how I D-ranked. It's a very sad story. Very sad story. You're gonna see. Very excited for it. And then, who knows, I might work on more melee content in the future. I kind of caught the buzz for Counter-Strike again, so I'm really feeling myself playing Counter-Strike right now. As opposed to, I had a feel for Melee for a little bit. That was very fun. I kind of lost interest in Melee just a little bit. I haven't lost interest in the game. It's more like, you know, kind of Top Hat Waffle kicked my ass, and I'm like, oh god, what do I do now? I don't know enough about this game to know what I did wrong and what to work on. But, you know, that's how it is. So anyways, see you in the next video that I post, which is going to be soonish. Bye.